We are just kicking off, and it's a social experiment. It's for 90 days. After 90 days, they have to review whether it's continuing or it's not going to continue. Welcome, everybody, from wherever you are watching us from around the world. Welcome. This is Cheesy Media. We are all about breaking news, top stories, wherever they may be in Africa, around you. Rest assured, you can get it here, whether it's on social media trending or it's on TV trending or is basically around you trending. As long as we have what it takes to get it to you, we would on this platform. So if it's breaking at 12 midnight, be rest assured you're going to get it here. If it's breaking at 5 a.m., you rest assured you're going to get it here. At 10 p.m., you're going to get it here. Just stick around. I am 100% sure you would love every single bit of it. So let's kick things off because we are actually pressed for time. We're beginning with the Daily Independence newspaper this morning, and they're all looking very flamboyant. All right. We have visuals for you, though, right after the reviews of the papers. Let's get straight into it. Daily Independent newspaper this morning has a screaming headlines. Okpebolo's Guba victory, Tinubu, Southern governors, Wike, others hail Supreme Court's verdict. You would hail the Supreme Court verdict if it's positive for you. But if it's not, I'm sure you're going to start thinking of reforms. Anyways, on the left side of the paper of the Daily Independent newspaper this morning, with how Jonathan plotted to remove me from office, Shettima speaks. Road crashes in Q1 rose by some percentages. Yeah. How many percentage is that now? Looking at 2,650 with 1,593 deaths. FRSC report. All right. Road crashes in Q1 rose to 2,650 with 1,593 deaths. And once again, we've been told that part of the reasons why these deaths happen, they occur apparently, is clearly because of overspeeding. So whatever you do, please don't overspeed. To some other developments, judgment reaffirms mandates given by Edo people. Bible speaks, it's a betrayal. It does not amount to justice, says Igodalo. It's danger to nation's democracy, says Obaseki. This is reactions from the Supreme Court verdicts upholding the Edo State's governorship elections as won by Okpebolo. To some other headlines, reciprocity, Tinubu not culpable in U.S. visa restriction policy, says presidency. Tinubu not culpable in U.S. visa restriction policy. The presidency speaks on that. To some other headlines that we are catching up with you from wherever you are watching. Thank you. Yellow Water massacre. They shot my children. Mother cut them with machetes. Benue survivor. Senate replaces suspended Natasha with Basi as diaspora committee chair. Well, the fight is still on, and she hasn't resumed just yet. Everyone is watching and waiting and seeing what's going to be, and maybe the Senate president is not holding back anything. He just wants to dismantle her as much as possible. Even if she resumes, she's not going to be a chairman of any committee. She's just going to be a floor member. I don't know how far that would go. But again, we keep our fingers crossed to bring you up to speed when anything else develops. I hold no grudges against persons who implicated me in 1.3 trillion or $1.3 billion Malibu oil deal. Adoke speaks. I hold no grudges against persons who implicated me in $1.3 billion Malibu oil deal. Well, it's a shameful thing, really. Shameful. COS backs national ranching policy, says open grazing threatens food security. Well, this is now one of the major reasons why everyone should start talking about this. Thank God that the Chief of Army Staff is beginning to think about the root causes, or if you like, the root solution to some of these issues. Let's begin to think around ranching. If you've got a cow, if you can own one cow, then you can own a Greenland. It's a business, and because it's a business, you must, in any way possible, endeavor to run your business efficiently. You don't use your own business to destroy somebody else's business or because you are in business or you want to be in business. So it's important that that is put out. COS backs national branching policy, says open grazing threatens food security. All right, we're done with the Daily Independent newspaper. We're moving now over to the Tribune newspaper. And on the Tribune newspaper this morning, just above the masts, Arewa Economic Forum warns against CBN's new BDC recapitalization, with the rider cites threats to northern economy, national security, seek extension of policy. All right, that's an interesting headlines. You can check it out on the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Still on the Tribune, Nigeria won't bow to U.S. pressure to accept Venezuelan deportees, says federal government. Nigeria won't bow to U.S. pressure to accept Venezuelan deportees, says federal government. So, why would Nigeria accept Venezuelan deportees? You know, it really doesn't add up. Anyways, we'll see about that. Fingers crossed. On the Tribune, still the shouting headlines: How Adoke others stopped Jonathan from removing me as governor. Shettima speaks. Ex-AGF was hunted globally over $1.3 billion OPL 245 saga. Jonathan, I have forgiven everyone behind my ordeal, says Adoke. Well, this particular headline has been interpreted, or if you like, misinterpreted by so many platforms. In fact, some platforms are stating clearly that Shettima should have actually told any kind of story apart from this particular one, because again, it directly speaks to what's going on under his own nose. It means that, from, by and large, given what we're experiencing, he is not in tune with what has happened in River State. I mean, imagine a vice president going to say what he said. The guy is really bold. Shettima, the very, very, very cerebral individual that you can think of as a person who has held the position of governor, for 8 years in Borno State, and also when he speaks, he's one of the guys who I always love to listen to. So he's highly educated, highly cerebral, very fantastic guy. And in that particular book presentation, I have visuals for you. I'm going to play that visual for you, but I'm just going to hold back to what I'm going to say regarding that. So maybe when the time comes for the visuals, then I'll probably just say what I've got to say regarding that developments. All right. Let's see what we have in other headlines on the Tribune this morning. Akmabio removes Natasha as diaspora committee chair, appoints Akwa Ibom senator in her place. And then PCL must account for 210 trillion naira. Senate insists 210 trillion naira. Do you know how much that is? How much is our budget again? Damn, that's huge. In other headlines, flood may unleash toxic chemical poses risk to elderly ecosystem, UN warns. Supreme Court affirms Okpebolo as Edo governor. Supreme Court affirms Okpebolo as Edo governor. All right. I think that's about it on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. And now we're moving over to the next headline, which of course is not far from the Vanguard newspaper, the big V. All right, now to the Vanguard. Visa war. Federal government explains stance as US slams tighter measures. Says 5-year non-immigrants multiple entry visa for US citizens still in place. 90-day single entry visa validity period applies only to newly introduced e-visas. US introduces fresh $250 visa integrity fee for tourists, students, and workers. Find out the details on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. I for one, think that if you have a country that works good, you really have no reason to go to any country. Yeah, I know that moving from one place to another is good for education, for studies, for all of those. But then again, we all know that the reasons why most people leave this country or leave is just for economic stability, financial stability, as the case may be. So if we are a little bit stable here, I believe that we would do better. We will be better than where we are right now. 2027, ADC will dislodge Tinubu and APC, says Arebeshola, with the rider vows not to sideline state chairman. Utomi backs coalition. Again, headers kill 4 policemen and SCDC officers in Benue ambush. Still on the vanguard. Ambush yet again. Benue ambush yet again. This has to really stop. Still on the Vanguard newspaper. If not for Tinubu, Buhari wouldn't have won APC primary, says presidency. Senate sacks Natasha Uduaghan as committee chairman. All the details you can find on the Vanguard this morning. Now we're moving over to the Daily Independence newspaper this morning. The Daily Independence has a lot of headlines, and one that is quite interesting. Daily Independence. Okay, I think we have actually done Daily Independence. So moving over to the Daily Trust newspaper. The Daily Trust, let's see what we have here. Military strikes kill many terrorists in Zamfara and Kebbi. Amidst high electricity cost, varsities, health facilities yet to get subsidy. Shettima visits Buhari in London. All right. Amidst high electricity costs, varsities, health facilities yet to get subsidy. Local government funds, after 1 year, nothing has changed. Local government funds, after 1 year, nothing has changed. Sad, oh. It's really bad, oh. You know, when the president came, it was one of the very few things that he did, basically, to endeavor to make sure that local government gets their funds directly. And 1 year after, it does look like that has stalled. That has really, really stalled and is really bad. And it's so damning in the sense that governors are supposed to be the ones, open to some of these development, but the governors are the ones kicking against, the local government getting their funds directly. And one would really wonder why. So it does tell you that there's something there's not adding up. There's something down there that is not adding up at all. Anyway, so some other headlines on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. How Adoke stopped Jonathan from removing me as governor, says Shettima. Bandits abduct palace administrators, burn houses in Plateau community. Senate removes Natasha as diaspora committee chair. FCT arrests 210 beggars in Abuja. All right, FCT has always said that they're going to go against beggars in Abuja, and quite frankly, they have started something in that direction, and this is the result of it. And it's a huge congratulations to them. Well, more than anything else, it's one thing to remove beggars from the street, but it's another to permanently keep them off the street, because we've seen over time that sometimes it's not even about the government, it's not even about these beggars, it's just basically about them not finding a place, to go to, or even building a place for them to stick their head out, and I've said, the FCC minister have said consistently that it is not the responsibility of the FCC ministry to provide a place for them, to stay. But again, one would wonder really whether that can be accommodated in the budget. Well, I wonder if that would ever really happen. Moving now over to the other newspaper this morning. Let's see if Vanguard's got something for us. All right, I think we've taken Vanguard newspaper. Okay, I don't think we've taken Vanguard. Okay, Vanguard looks like something we've taken before. We've taken Vanguard. Let's see if we can do other headlines this morning. The Nation is open, and the Punch is also there. All right, let's see if we can take a bit of the Nation newspaper. On the Nation this morning, UBA announces strategic expansion in key markets across Africa. Shettima visits ailing Buhari Abdusalami in London. I'm not in race for APC chair, says Akume. Senate removes Natasha as committee on diaspora chair. Visa restriction. Federal government rejects United States claim on reciprocity. With the rider, President Dean stopped 5-year visa for Americans. Nigeria wouldn't accept Venezuelan criminal deputies. Okay, that's quite interesting. Okwebola Supreme Court verdict victory for Edo. All right, Okwebola. Okwebola Supreme Court verdict victory for Edo State. Obaseki Igodalo kicks. All right. Mustafa gets knocks for downplaying Tinubu's role in Buhari's 2015 triumph. All right, that's still on the Nation newspaper. Mustafa gets knocks for downplaying Tinubu's role in Buhari's 2015 triumph. With writer Garba Shehu, no need for bikering. President supports vital. Anyways, I mean, there's been this back and forth whether Tinubu was instrumental in Buhari's return to power in 2015. Many people have said that Tinubu was the one that brought the last leg or the missing coin that made Buhari the president. Because if you look at what he has done in the past from that 2015, 2011, 2007, 2003, he had always gotten at least between 3 to 6 million votes. And so he needed just a portion of either the north central, north, southeast, south, or southwest to have clinched it. So Tinubu had that opportunity, knew that, of course, ACN had 6 states in the southwest, and it was easy for him to, bring that to the table, and the coalition happened, and then they dislodged the PDP. But I mean, so many persons have said that that's basically what might really happen this time. Would it happen? Would it not happen? What's your take on this development? I'd love to hear from you as always. And now we're moving now over to the Punch newspaper, which happens to be the last paper before we get to the visuals we have for you. From Shettima to President Trump, with some of the trending issues across social media. But let's tell you what Punch is saying this morning. Right above the mast, Buhari's government went after my allies post 2015 election, says Jonathan. Buhari government went after my allies post 2015 election, says Jonathan. Well, trust me, if Jonathan had gone to court against Buhari, remember that he didn't challenge the presidential election, the outcome of the presidential election in the court. If he had done so, I'm sure that Buhari would have prosecuted him. Yeah, I mean, the part of the so-called gentleman's agreement is, you know what, I'm not going to touch you because you gave it even before the elections results were called. He had to give up. He had to call and congratulate Buhari, and so because of that, they left him out. In fact, Buhari didn't just go against Jonathan's allies; he went even to his wife. It's that close, to him, and so it's quite interesting to see how things are playing out. And for the life of me, those who are in power today, sometime in 2035, 2039, you will look back and say, wow, this guy was in power and he had all the powers to do all the things he needed to do and he didn't do them. So for everyone who is in power today, here's an opportunity for you to do the needful. Make sure that you're doing your best within your capacity to put more people out of poverty, give them more life, let their lives be a lot better than where it was. That's why most people will look at themselves and say they were better off in 2010, they were better off in 2015, they're better off in 2020. So why would every single government come into power and make things worse and make matters worse, for people? Anyways, over that to other headlines on the Punch. NNPC refineries may never work again, says Dangote. Corrupt politicians using crypto wallets, okay, crypto wallets to launder money. Ooh, okay. So we have this information. What are we doing with it? Crypto wallets to launder money, says EFCC chair. Corrupt politicians using crypto wallets to launder money. All right. If we have this information, we should be using it for something. Use it for something quickly too. Still on the Punch, autonomy stand of governors gets 4.5 trillion naira local government funds 1 year after Supreme Court ruling. Local governments yet to open CBN account. Labour blames governors AGL for delay. Falana SANs accuse governors and federal government. This is really, really shameful. It's really shameful. I remember this particular Supreme Court judgment last year. Everyone was excited for the fact that, these things have happened. The local government autonomy is now on the way, with local governments having direct funds from the federal government so that they could actually do their business. They wouldn't have to be subservient to the state government. They won't have to, depend on the state government. So everyone was excited about it. This is one of the basics. This is one of the things we were looking out for. But 1 year after, it does look like it's looking like a mirage. So the president wants that, but the governors, who, as you may believe, used to be the ones to look out for development at the rural level, is kicking against this direct, because that's the only thing I see. That's the only thing I see. The governors are the ones kicking against it, and Labour is blaming the governors and the AGL for the delay. The local governments are even yet to open CBN accounts because, I mean, most of the local government chairmen are subservient to their governors, and if you go and open a CBN account, you might get into trouble. So it's just crazy. It's just crazy the world we live in these days, and local government is the government that should be the closest to the people, and development should be from there directly. But here we are bundling it. GTKO plans fresh expansion after London Stock Exchange listing. Igodalo angry as Tinubu governors praise Okwebola's court victory. Igodalo angry as Tinubu governors praise Okwebola's court victory. 3-year-old boy dies inside Lagos Soccerway. Really sad. 3-year-old boy dies inside Lagos Soccerway. Local government poll, ballot snatching will trigger by-elections, and Lasiek warns. Local government poll or ballot snatching will trigger by-elections, and Lasiek warns. All right, Lagos State local government elections are actually due this Saturday, and we are looking for something quite interesting, at least a lot better than what we have been used to. All right, I think we'll have one final paper to look into this morning, and it's the Almighty Guardian newspaper. If we have time to do that, then we can grab that right away. All right, the Guardian newspaper has a screaming headline: emerging boom in home services, costly substitute for ailing hospitals. All right, emerging boom in home services, costly substitute for ailing hospitals. So another headlines here. INEC deploys online party registration portal as applications hit 129. INEC deploys online party registration portal as applications hit 129. I'm just wondering, really, would INEC approve all 129 political parties that have applied? I thought that we're supposed to be going straight to either 2 or 3 political parties in this country. Why should we get to a point in our lives when, for crying out loud, we would have 129? When imagine we have 129 presidential candidate, it would be devastating. I mean, imagine the paper that you'll be used to thumbprint. No, I don't think it's worth it, really. I mean, at the very best, because we're a multi-ethnic country and we're that large, over 200 million. I thought that if we have 10 political parties, we'll be fine. 10 is enough. United States is over 300 million people, and the only two parties you hear is either Democrats or Republicans. Yeah, but there is no system that is perfect. But yet again, I still believe that if we get our acts right, I mean, for a nascent democracy, at least we should start off with 10 at most. If you're not within this 10, then what sort of ideology, different ideology, would the 129 political parties have? No, seriously, these new political parties that have gone to register, what sort of ideology that's different, that is even far different? We've seen that some of these political parties are just politicians who are in power, are looking to, mutate these numbers, and then maybe when time for elections come, they tend to, align with the ruling party and say that these guys are with them. So that's for me what I think. Frankly speaking, it's not much to it. Federal government shrugs off U.S. pressure to accept foreign prisoners and deportees. 210 trillion probe Senate berates NNPCL boss for defiance and issues ultimatum. Still on the Guardian newspaper this morning, security operatives killed, others missing in fresh Benue attack. Security operatives killed, others missing in fresh Benue attack. ECOWAS courts reject bids to overturn $10,000 judgment against Nigeria. Lagos local government polls, APC opposition parties over exercise. All right, still on the Lagos local government elections, APC opposition parties biker over exercise. Igodalo accepts Supreme Court verdicts, decries robbery, betrayal of Edo People's Trust. Really sad. If you are in the opposition, you will scream the same thing. But here we are. Still on the Guardian newspaper, ADC coalition faces uphill task to unseat Tinubu, says presidency. And Bode George, of course. It's an uphill task indeed, especially now that you know that the president knows what threats that's is coming, given that he was part of those who formed the coalition to oust the then government of Goodluck Jonathan. So that's all. That's all we have here for you on the headlines out of the newspapers. We are moving over straight away to the visuals that we have for you. All right, there are a couple of them that we have, which would quite interest every one of you. So we'll begin from the vice president's rebuke of the president. I mean, a lot of persons have said that this is not one of those things that you hear very rarely, but so many persons have said that it's a direct rebuke at his boss.
I was the public enemy number one. And there are two gentlemen seated here. Certain decisions are taken in a very rare peace cycle. The president, the vice president, the Senate president, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. At one of such conclaves, former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan GCFR, with whom we have shared the sword and have now recalibrated our relationship, was mooting the idea of removing this Borno governor, and Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, the then Speaker of the House of Representatives, had the courage to tell the President that, Your Excellency, you don't have the power to remove an elected councillor. The President was still not convinced. He mooted the idea at the Federal Executive Council. I admire Mr. Mohammed Bello Adoke fundamentally for his courage and for his convictions and for his capacity to stand for what he believes in. He told the then president that, Mr. President, you do not have the power to remove a sitting governor, not even a councillor. They sought for the opinion of another SAN in the cabinet, Kabiru Turaki, who said, I am concurring with the opinion of my senior colleague. That was how the matter was laid to rest, but that was how my relationship with Mr. Bello Adoke.
Straight away to the president, you do not have the power to remove a governor, not even a councillor. I'm just imagining this, what will be going through the mind of the president and maybe his men after watching that. Because again, the vice president would have told any story. He would have told any story to basically make his point. Not necessarily that one. But given what we are seeing today, given what we know today, that the president, which he is serving under, has done the same thing, you would think that he is directly telling his boss, you don't have the right to do this. So I'm just thinking, like, is Shettima still in government, or is this something that we don't know that's brewing? I mean, there has always been this tension between them. We've read on papers how both of them's relationship have deteriorated over time. Even though they keep saying that it's false, that the president and the vice, is they're perfect with their relationship, but many persons reading from the point of view of what they're seeing, they don't think that the vice president is in bed, still in bed with the president. But you never can tell. Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens in due course. All right. Now let's move over to a certain man. I got this from a thread on Instagram, and this is just not right at all. A certain man is threatening against any opposition party in the states that whatever happens, that in the past they have had issues with politics where Obaseki as a governor made sure that opposition did not thrive. That right now that APC is now Edo states, that they are not going to accept anybody or anyone except APC. Let's watch.
The person where they draw for that banner and the people where they come out, they go learn new thing that very day. No matter. Is APC state and everything has to be APC because 2023 una see what your Obaseki do for this state. Even when they hang Tinubu banner with other APC, una see what your Obaseki do for this state. He drop all the banner, they tear all APC banners. They tear all APC banners. All of them for this state, all of them they clap at that time. But now don't APC state now. May we see any other political party banner. That person they draw for that banner with the people we go man. It's alright. We're gonna go learn new thing. Oh my day. That very day.
You know, incidentally, these are the kinds of people even politicians like, and they don't even mind using these kinds of people. I've always said that election is not do or die affair. Those who are in it must endeavor to make sure that their supporters play by the rules of the game. I mean, this does not in any way mean that if you think you are the only one that has the monopoly of madness, there are people who have more madness than you. That's the truth. People have more madness than you. You can't threaten opposition in your state because something happened in the past, and so you are going to revenge about what happened, what's going to happen in the state. And we've also heard the governor say things like 2.5 million votes for the president in 2027. You know, see, nobody has churned out 2.5 million votes for any president in Edo State. Nobody. I mean, there's nobody that has done that. So when you say you want to do 2.5 billion votes, it only points to one thing, which is rigging. So, and I hope that people are called out quickly, and warnings are actually dished out and done quickly too, so that everybody would keep their head straight when it comes to an election. I mean, I just think to myself, why is it so difficult for us to have an election that is devoid of rancor? That you don't have to kill people, you don't have to maim people. These are things that people see, and then they start thinking, in fact, because you said this, I'm going to say this. Because you did this, I'm going to do it, and then you have chaos. So by and large, our electoral process our electoral system too must also find ways to punish people and punish them instantly, not punishing them. I think at some point, Yakubu was saying something along the lines of electoral law courts. You know, a little bit different from what we have conventionally. Because if we see people who are electoral offenders are punished immediately, are sent to jail, or they're made to pay a certain fine, then, you know, it can serve as a deterrent to others. But when in a situation where you have these unending cases lingering in court for a long time, you know, you tend to railroad the very essence on the reasons why you want to set up, you know, that particular court. Let's go to the other visuals that we have for you. Bayo Onanuga, presidential spokesperson, is saying clearly no vacancy in town. And not just that, he has also stated that though even if Peter Obi combines with Atiku, that there is nothing that would happen to his boss come 2027. So let's watch that and come back afterwards.
The alliance or the merger that we had in 2013 was not as noisy as these people are making it. They are not as you didn't give much distraction to the government in power. But the way they are doing is as if INEC has blown the whistle for party politics to start, but that is not so. But you see, they are free. This is a free country. People can come together to form all kinds of alliances. But as far as APC is concerned, we are not seeing them as any threat. If you merge Peter Obi and Atiku together, there's no way the two of them can beat a Bola Tinubu Shettima ticket. It's not going to be possible.
Yeah, but they did in 2023. I mean, they went together, but separately.
They went to election alone. Atiku went to it alone. Peter went to alone. But let me tell you something. If Peter allies with Atiku in 2027, he will not get the blind followership we got in 2023. It will not happen. Because those ones who say no, they want you to be president, they don't want you to be vice president. So that will never happen.
But there
so
are
that's why I look at it, they are just trying their luck, they are trying to do all kinds of permutations, but I can tell you the APC will still be in power in 2027.
Right. But
President Tinubu's achievements in office will speak for him.
There are some who used to be in your party and the president's party, the APC, but who feel aggrieved and pushed aside by Mr. Tinubu. Some of them believe they worked very hard in the 2023 presidential election, but the president failed to recognize and to reward their effort. So can it be said that the president has pushed them into the coalition against him?
I need to be specific. Who are those people?
Well, I mean, there's quite a number of them. One of them that comes to mind is obviously El Rufai. I mean, there's a couple of others there as well.
Well, I would say not El Rufai. Yeah, I agree. He did a lot of work for the president. In fact, at a public function, the president acknowledged his role, and in fact, he told him, because El Rufai was saying he was going to go abroad for studies, and so said, no, wait and stay. He nominated him for ministerial job, but unfortunately, the National Assembly, the Senate, turned down his nomination. So you cannot put that one on the president. That's what happened to him.
But he seems to believe that the president kind of lost faith and either from pressure or something, and went and engineered.
That blame should go to the Senate that rejected his nomination. The president fulfilled his own part of the bargain. He wanted him to be, in fact, he was casting him to be minister of power. But as I said, the Senate, for what is best known to them, said no, they are not going to approve this nomination. So that you cannot blame the president for that. I think you should blame it on the Senate.
Right, and the president didn't sort of go behind the scenes and say, well, look, I changed my mind. So
I'm not sure it was the only one that the Senate said, no, we are not going to have this kind of person. I think there was another nomination that was similarly rejected. I can't recall the person now. But there was the Senate, you give somebody a name and the Senate said, no, we are not going to have it. So you just have to withdraw the nomination.
All right, that was Bayo Nanuga stating clearly what really happened with a former governor of Kaduna State. I'm talking about the likes of El Rufai, saying clearly that, look, it's not even the president's fault. It is the fact that he was rejected by the Senate, so you can't put it on him. If anyone would defend his boss. And beyond that, also says that if Atiku and Obi comes together again in 2027, they will not win the vote because they won blind votes. That they will not get the blind votes that they got in 2023. Is there anything like blind votes, though? Can someone explain to me what blind votes is? If you can, send me a message on WhatsApp or on numbers showing on your screen. There's something like blind votes. I don't know. Something like blind vote. Blind votes. So if there are blind votes, maybe this time around people are and now know the numbers. In terms of reforms, I really don't know what type of reform that you would say that were people oriented that can sell so that people can actually vote for Tinubu in 2027. Because again, yes, we know of the loan, the student loan that's been going well. People have been receiving these loans. But to what extent, really, to what extent would you say that it's solving Nigeria's problems? It's solving people's personal problems. People can barely feed. I mean, if you give 20,000 naira for an upkeep in a month, you and I know that 20,000 naira it's practically nothing. Nothing. I mean, if you buy a bowl, a painter of Gary for 2,700, 3,200, in some places, that is more than 20% of that particular amount that is gone. I mean, you're talking about other food items. You're talking about ingredients, which are actually sometimes even much more expensive than the food itself. So, food is one thing. There's a lot of people who have said that this government have put them into trouble. And part of the things that have made food very expensive is the fact that transportation has skyrocketed owing to the removal of fuel subsidy. In fact, everything is predicated on fuel subsidy, because as soon as the fuel subsidy, is removed, monies are being saved for the government, then the prices of fuel goes up. So for me to transport the goods that I have from point A to point B that used to be 100 naira is now 600 naira, and you don't expect those goods to be, that same price. So what you have is transport inflation. That is what we have right now. So if that price of fuel can be brought down, then everything can go back to maybe even though not normal, but bearable, minimum. Minimum wage 70,000 naira, 77,000 naira. How many persons can beat their chest and say they earn 200,000 naira in a month in this country? How many? Very few persons. So if you earn at least 500,000 naira, in this economy, you seem to be somebody who is just, if you're just surviving. Frankly, if you're just surviving, if you earn 500,000 naira, in this country. So things have to be done and done quickly too, so that we would have some measure of sanity across board. So as a particular video that's also making its round, and it's one that looks like it's quite interesting, and I know you would like to see it. A man, boldly, confronted a pastor who had come to preach in his environment. That I found out quite shocking and quite interesting as well. But I think you would like it. Let's play it back.
Echigon this man won in several. I have Obia. Diana, my resident. Diana make him noise this morning. Echigon me won. The engineer me for video and as a proof. In Afia, since after 5 o'clock in the morning. Oh yeah, Diana the store boom na my house. There's the motor. And they preach the word of God.
If we decide today to give the to Jesus,
because I will deal with him very soon.
made up your mind to continue to be sin against God.
This is a young man who doesn't want to respect himself. Every morning, or Biadana they stop our residents. Let you go and give warning to stop coming here. He refused, you refuse that, right? Columbus to be.
I assure you, if you decide today to give your life to Jesus, you shall be well received. In the name of Jesus.
You leave your own resident. Biana Ben Mado. I think this in a street up or you don't want to talk. Yeah, it's all quite low. We go. Till this morning. Mona gige we fiscal combat no totwa. You got one contact here. I get work we are upon Kezibo, no ever go to stay here. It's right. Twagi hello, Nga Kokwagi, Nga Kuligino Totwa. Every way sense. Or we were street, or we were be. I politely came out here to warn you. Ozuologi, or we were be, you have your family. Right? You have your family. Don't ever, I'm go. I'm going me this morning, no. I think this.
All right. So a bold man confronting a pastor preaching in his streets. He says go back to his streets and preach to those people around his streets, not to his street. That he gets this disturbance every now and then. A whole lot of persons were saying that he should have, collected or carried the speakers, But this actually happened in Enugu State, and Enugu State has a noise pollution a law against noise pollution that was enacted last year. I think that by and large, instead of getting to the point where you become physical with somebody, I think you should just go and report to the authorities and get your facts right, get your visuals. You already have done videos. Go there and give it to them. I'm sure that they're going to take care of it, so you don't get into more trouble with what has just happened. So for 2027, the kinds of people you should be avoiding. Remember, Reno Mokri is now officially working for this current government because his name has been listed amongst people who will be selected to be ambassador for the country. And he has been going around wearing Nigerian-made goods, the Nigerian-made fabric, which is quite commendable. But then again, a video making the rounds have surfaced when he was asked if he was given the opportunity to choose between the presidential candidates across boards in the past. He had actually picked a Peter Obi.
I would prefer to have the best president, the best president of Nigerian origin. And if you ask me, if you're going to ask me who do I think will make the best president, I would say, and it's going to upset a lot of people, but I would say Peter Obi. Peter Obi would be an absolutely fabulous president. If Peter Obi were president of Nigeria, Nigeria would be like Dubai in a matter of years. But no.
Okay, so that was Reno there, stating that he would choose Peter Obi if he were given the opportunity to choose the president of this country. It's just unfortunate that a few years later, he's now singing another different song. These are the kinds of persons we should be looking to avoid come 2027. People who speak according to what their tummy, rings, Same thing with Boala. I mean, I've stopped taking Boala very seriously because you can't not just tell people how bad an APC is. You cannot castigate the current administration, about what exactly they are bad about, and all of a sudden you apply to find a job in the same government that you criticize. It's that really bad. Anyways, again, like they say in every parlance, you have the opportunity to join whoever you want to join. It's your point, it's your decision. But then again, even in that decision, you must make sure you have some integrity. So one would wonder really, where is the place of integrity in all?